All right. Give me just a second to make sure everything is coming online here. You know, there's a little bit of a delay before things usually start coming on, so bear with me, folks. Hey, Jessica, thanks for chiming in there on the chat. I appreciate it. Okay, so I want to talk about a couple different things tonight. That some of the things that are going on in the world and that I've seen, especially on Twitter. Let me just adjust this a little bit. I'm going to talk about some of the things that are currently going on, as well as some of the things that I think you should consider doing in terms of defensive actions. So if I forget to talk about defensive actions, please let me know. Please remind me in the live chat. I'll check that in a minute. But first, I'm going to play a video that I found on Twitter, just posted today. This is a Canadian Prime Minister. So this is, I've mentioned this before. You've heard this in different places where I know the Biden administration here in the U.S. is considering, or at least they talked about, at least bounced it around internally, requiring jabs for travel, domestic travel, like on the airline. So check this out. This is what Canadian Prime Murderer Justin Trudeau has to say. So I'm just going to play the audio here. It's 2 minutes long, so listen to what he has to say. Let me just turn the audio up here first. Justin Trudeau has to say. I gotta mute myself. Okay, all right. Here we go.
Christia has outlined what the mandatory vaccination that's in place immediately for federal employees will look like. The bottom line, proof of vaccination will be required by no later than the end of this month for all federal employees. And by mid-November, enforcement measures in place will make sure that everyone is vaccinated. This is about keeping people safe on the job and in their communities. The same goes for the second commitment we made, mandatory vaccination on travel. By the end of October, everyone 12 or older on a plane or train within Canada should be fully vaccinated. But by the end of November, if you're 12 or older and want to fly or take the train, you'll have to be fully vaccinated, as will staff. Testing will no longer be an option before boarding. Done the right thing and gotten vaccinated, you deserve the freedom to be safe from COVID-19, to have your kids safe from COVID, to get back to the things you love. And if you haven't gotten your shots yet but want to travel this winter, let's be clear. There will only be a few extremely narrow exceptions, like a valid medical condition. For the vast majority of people, the rules are very simple. To travel, you've got to be vaccinated. These travel measures, along with mandatory vaccination for federal employees, are some of the strongest in the world. Because when it comes to keeping you and your family safe, when it comes to avoiding lockdowns for everyone, this is no time for half measures. Already, we're delivering on the first of our vaccine commitments, and in the weeks to come, we'll get the job done on a vaccine passport for international travel. We'll be there to foot the bill for provinces and territories that roll out proof of vaccination programs, and we'll introduce legislation to make it a criminal offense to threaten or harass healthcare workers. Christian?
Okay, so there we go. Canada, land of the free, right? Just like the US and Australia and many other places. So just to summarize some of the things there, as of end of October, beginning of November, any Canadian that's 12 years of age or older is going to need to be fully vaccinated to board a plane or a train, which is pretty messed up. This is, and fully jabbed, they're just gonna keep rolling out, demanding new magic serum shots every 3 months or whatever it is. And, they're going to lock us out of everyday life. I can't tell you how much this pisses me off. One, because we're forcing medical procedures upon people who do not want it. But in in our history, none of us have been alive and our parents haven't been alive, and even grandparents, in a time where this kind of bullshit has been happening. I mean, the last time that I think we had something like this was back in probably like the 1950s, early 60s in the US. I remember seeing, black and white photographs of what it was like to see, bathrooms and drinking fountains with signs that said for whites only and for coloreds. And I remember when I first learned about that, when I first saw that, thinking how messed up that was. So here we are, blacks can sit on the back of the bus, unjabbed, can just not get on the bus at all. That's what we have, folks. We're back into this bullshit of discrimination, segregation, apartheid in society. And this is gonna come everywhere if we don't stop this. All these motherfuckers, and I'm gonna swear tonight on a live stream, all these motherfuckers in office need to be kicked the fuck out. And if you didn't notice, like at the very end, let me just replay this. He said it right at the end of this clip, and I linked to the Twitter post in the live stream if you didn't see it, so check this out. Let me just play this again, just the last few seconds. He talks about, I think he said it was gonna make it a crime to harass healthcare workers.
And in the weeks to come, we'll get the job done on a vaccine passport for international travel. We'll be there to foot the bill for provinces and territories that roll out proof of vaccination programs, and we'll introduce legislation to make it a criminal offense to threaten or harass healthcare workers.
Okay, so there we go. And words are super important. We are in like an era of newspeak where like as a straight white male, I know I've just accepted that the dictionary terms have changed, that as a straight white male, I'm homophobic, racist, toxic, and sexist. And I've just learned to love it, I guess. I mean, that's the new norm. And, pick your favorite, whatever you've got, you've got something too probably. But, this is like, harassing healthcare workers. Replace healthcare workers with politicians. So to harass somebody, let me just play the last 5 seconds because I just want to make sure I got that word right.
Legislation to make it a criminal offense to threaten or harass.
So threaten or harass. So let's say, I'm going to throw out a couple scenarios. I'm going to say that like you're, like say somebody who's disabled, one of your family members is in the hospital for something regular, right? And all of a sudden, like the healthcare workers, the nurses, doctors want to hold them down and forcibly, jab them, give them the magic juice. So if you threaten them in that situation, like don't fucking do that or I'm gonna clock you, that could be a potential criminal offense, even though all you're doing is standing up for your rights and their rights. And the word harass is really fucking broad. When, so all the chants of like, let's go Brandon, as in fuck Joe Biden, that is, people, these socialist loonies see this as hate speech. They want to criminalize free speech. And that, you could easily say that is harassing a political figure. And so the fact that Canada is now going to introduce this legislation that it's a criminal offense to harass somebody over, let's flip this around too. I mean, I could say that I've been fucking harassed like for the past like year about this jab bullshit. I mean, I could easily say that, and so could you. And with all this fucking propaganda, marketing bullshit, you could say that we've been harassed. So where's the criminal penalty there? I mean, I hope to see these people really be held accountable. And I hope to God we can see this, because it's complete bullshit the way our quote unquote leaders, and I'm gonna put that in quotes, how they actually work and how they don't give a shit about us at all. I'm gonna go through a couple things I just bookmarked on Twitter, just to kind of give you guys some updates on some things. Some good things are happening, and I bookmarked some things so I can talk about this stuff. These couple of issues are in the United States. In Idaho, the lieutenant governor just banned vaccine mandates, which is good. That's good. We need more people that do that. It looks like a circuit judge in Arkansas has ruled that the Bentonville schools have no authority to mandate masks and that children have to be unmasked immediately. It can only be a suggestion. So this is good. We need this kind of stuff to happen more and more. The psychos of the world are ramping up the rhetoric and, putting the screws to anybody who does not want to go along with this political bullshit. I just saw a video, I didn't bookmark it on Twitter. It was out of New Zealand, where there was like some police medical apartheid vehicle driving through a neighborhood with like a bullhorn saying, hey, come out of your homes and get vaccinated and we'll give you free food or cookies or donuts or whatever. It was really bizarre. It's like, man, this is unheard of. This is crazy. Just nuts stuff. If you haven't seen the latest video coming out of Project Veritas, I would definitely check it out. Basically, somebody who works inside of Pfizer, one of the magic serum manufacturers, has come out and said, look, there's a lot of cover-up stuff going on inside of Pfizer. And there are, and people have said this for a long time, but everybody's like, it's always the conspiracy, right? They're like, people don't give a shit. They don't think it's true. But according to the Pfizer whistleblower, there is aborted fetal tissue in the Pfizer vaccine, and probably in all of them, and probably in a lot of the vaccines we get. But so this is coming out. So now it's like, there's so much of a push, like in the U.S. and elsewhere, to basically say you can't get a religious exemption. So are you fucking telling me that if I have if I have an objection to abortion, or if I have an objection to being inoculated or injected with somebody else's human cells, whether they are dead or alive, or they're like, I don't know, put in a petri dish and I get the offspring, like if I don't want that, like I can't be exempt. I mean, this is just sick stuff. Los Angeles, California is like land of fruits and nuts, literally and figuratively. There are a bunch of fucking wackos out there. But LA City Council just voted to require proof of vaccination for indoor restaurants, gyms, entertainment venues, etc. So all this woke bullshit about, we need to I could go off on a rant about discrimination and bias and a whole bunch of shit. And I probably am going to get into that in this video. I probably will, actually, because this is nothing more than discrimination. The government is now telling business owners that they have to discriminate against people. This is fucking criminal bullshit. The government has always discriminated for a long time. At any time a company hires somebody, there's discrimination happening. Here's why. The government mandates it. How do they do that? They tell me I can't hire my 11-year-old niece because she's too young, even though she wants to work at a software company. It would organize the coffee cups. They enforce age discrimination. Now, obviously, we don't want to have child labor shit going on, but that's probably going to happen in China, not here. So they enforce discrimination all the time, basically at every hire in the United States. And now they are enforcing discrimination in private companies, private companies that should be able to operate and be able to serve the people that want to buy their products or services. They should be able to do that. It's sort of like, I sort of look at this and I go, if somebody thinks this is okay or right, replace the words vaccinated with black or white or Hispanic or yellow or purple or brown or straight or gay or whatever. So let's just replace Los Angeles County, requiring proof of jab to get in. What if they said Los Angeles County is requiring proof that you're white to be able to get in, like Caucasian white, not Hispanic white, Caucasian white, to be able to get in, to be able to be served by restaurants, go to bars, go to clubs, go to gyms, blah, 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 blah. Clearly, people would, or they should go, that's fucked up. Like, we shouldn't do that. When is the last time you ever remember getting asked whether you had the fucking tetanus shot before entering a Home Depot, or going to a restaurant, or going to a fucking gym? Never. Never. And it's like, so now they're gonna force this stuff. And it's just, and like, a good portion of society is okay with this. I heard, and I didn't do the search myself, so do a search for yourself. Somebody said, I think in a video I was watching on YouTube today, that somebody, maybe it was Mark Dice or somebody that did this, they went out and they polled people like on the streets, and they said, should people be evicted from their homes if they don't take the magic serum? And so many people signed up for that. And they said, yeah, kick them out, evict them. This is, I cannot believe the clown ass show world that I am living in. So we are now saying, or a segment of the population is now saying, that if you don't undertake a medical procedure against your will, A, you're gonna lose your job, right? B, you can't enter the grocery store. And C, you can't live in your house or apartment anymore. Like, fuck you. This is the kind of stuff, this is like the fuel that kicks off civil wars, civil unrest, and revolutions. And honestly, like, a big part of me says that kind of stuff is inevitable. I feel like the only way, if this shit keeps happening, is we're almost gonna have to like build a parallel type of society, which is messed up, just even having to do that, because then you are like giving into, and you're actually exacerbating segregation. But you know, if there are gonna be, if in certain areas, if there are going to be limitations as to who can enter a store, a gym, a venue of some kind, then other people should be able to say, well, fuck you, big government. We're gonna start our own grocery store, our own gym, our own whatever, and allow anybody to get in, or only allow unvaccinated people, unjabbed people to get in. I'm sure if somebody opened up a restaurant and said, you can only come in here if you haven't been vaccinated, and we're gonna do a blood test, you know, to see if you've got clotted blood or not, that everyone, you know, that right now is out there saying, you need to get the jab, they would be up in arms if somebody said, you know, our venue is only available for the unjabbed. And they don't see the hypocrisy in what they're doing. The whole world is fucking crazy. I mean, whenever I sit down and I look at this stuff and I take a moment to go through Twitter, I'll watch videos on what's happening, maybe catch a few news snippets, some articles off of like our alternative sites like Zero Hedge or places like that. It's just, I don't even know. So I guess that this is good. This is great. The New York Post, before I do this, so the FBI in the United States is now considering concerned parents who show up to school board meetings, who want to speak out against mask mandates and bullshit like that. The FBI is considering those parents to be threat, probably domestic terrorists, for all I know. But meanwhile, like the teachers who are like Antifa members and like proud members of the Communist Party who are trying to brainwash our kids, they're no threat. But the FBI treats concerned parents who are objecting to things like critical race theory or mask mandates, etc., to be the threat. All of you know this already. Why this doesn't fucking wake up other people is beyond me. Anytime the government wants to punish you for questioning the fucking narrative, that should tell you that there's a problem. And if they're trying to protect the school boards by punishing parents who speak out, it should tell you that the public school system is your enemy, and it is the enemy of your children. and they're just gonna brainwash your kids if they're there. This is gonna put a lot of people into a position where they have to, or they want to, homeschool their kids justifiably. I mean, they're just like, I don't even know what to say about this kind of stuff. So before I get into other things, I wanted to talk about, I wanted to talk about a couple things. I'm going to talk about some defensive measures that you can take. So one of the things that I think I'm going to do for my own company, we've got like 50 people or so, is I might probably will end up breaking it up into smaller companies, simply to keep the headcount low. Because in the US, the Biden administration has said that companies with over 100 people have to enforce mandatory jabs. And I know that if that goes through, if that holds up and people give in, that the 100 employee mark is going to drop to 50 employees. And I don't want our company to have to comply with that. And I'm not going to pay the bullshit fines of like $70,000 a day or whatever it is that they want to charge. So I'm just going to give the big middle finger to the government and say, fuck you. I'm going to split up my company into multiple smaller companies, stay below the head counts, and we'll just pivot and do whatever the fuck we need to do to avoid all this bullshit. So that's a defensive measure that I'm taking on things. So there are a lot of people that are losing their jobs over their objection to getting the jab. And there are a lot of people that currently aren't in that position but might be soon. One thing I would suggest to all of you is to consider building up extra income streams on the side. And I want to give you just some ideas of things you can do, things that everybody can do to become more resilient and to shit going wrong in their life. Because we are the only species on this planet that is required to pay to survive. If you cannot make money, you are going to die penniless and homeless on the street of starvation or some fucked up disease or drugs or whatever. So you need to be able to make money. Yeah, Kay says, Ethan, can't you hire contractors? Yeah, so that's one of the, we can't hire contractors. So I've got 50 employees right now. And, with benefits and all that kind of stuff. So if we switch, worst case scenario, like I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, if they say, employers have to, regardless of size, they have to require mandatory vaccines, I'm just going to say, fuck the government. And I'm going to go in and talk to my team and say, thank you for being employees. As of today, you're getting a layoff notice. And as of today, you are getting an independent contractor agreement. And now you are all on board if you want to be on board as independent contractors. And as an independent contractor, you run your own company. It's a company of one, and I can't tell you what the fuck to do. So, I'll turn my company of 50 into a company of one where it's just me, and I outsource everything my company has to do to the 50 employees who become individual contractors. So that's like a worst case scenario that is kind of out there. I hope I don't need to go there, because when you're self-employed, when you're an independent contractor, it's kind of a pain in the ass, like getting things like benefits, like medical stuff. So anyway, it's just a workaround. And, if somebody's got a small business, pass that idea along to them too, either splitting their company up into multiple ones or switching people to be independent contractors, things like that. But the government's probably, somebody said, Nikola Tesla said the government will work around that, maybe. But the thing is, here's what I look at doing in life is like, if you're the 1% in anything, you can get around things. And I don't mean 1% in terms of money. I mean 1% in terms of doing something different than the majority. So the majority of business owners in the United States will either cave, or like to the 100 employee mandate, they'll either cave and just say, okay, well, we have to do this and everybody has to get jabbed, or they will say, screw it, we're just gonna lay off the 101st and 102nd employee and we're just gonna stay at 100 employees or 99 employees. Most companies are not going to be willing to convert everybody to contractors. So I sort of look at that as being, something that like a small minority of people, business owners would do. And that's what I mean by like the 1% rule. If you just take those things that other people aren't probably going to do, the government is not likely to go after you because there aren't enough people to make it a big deal. It's such a small number of companies that would be doing that. But anyway, if they do something else and they say, well, even if you all work together in the same area and you're all independent contractors, you still have to do it, then I'll just say, fuck it. We're gonna give up our office space and everyone's gonna work at home. Like, we'll just leave the office space empty until this thing gets over. So just always outsmart the government, stay one step ahead. And that's why I'm taking the measures that I am, because I see the danger. If they started with 100 employees, they're gonna go to 50 employees, then probably 25 employees. So I'm gonna keep head count low, like 20 or under. And I'll just pivot when stuff comes up, when things happen. And you have to do that in your own life. So here is what I wanted to mention to all of you. Like, I think it is so important. First of all, make as much money as you possibly can ethically and legally, right? Because money gives you options in life. You can take the extra money, you can buy extra preps, you can put money into crypto, into gold, silver, other types of investments, whatever it is that you want to do. Having more money in life gives you more options. So I think it's good for everybody to do what they can to make as much money as they can legally, ethically, and without burning themselves out. So if you currently have a job, like with an employer, you think it's secure, this is the perfect time to develop a side stream of income. And it doesn't need to be that hard, folks. There are a ton of ways to do this. I mean, you can sell your stuff and other people's stuff on eBay. You can, if you're somebody who like makes things, you like crafty things, you can sell stuff on Etsy. In fact, you don't even need to create the stuff. If you know somebody else that creates it, you just sell it for them on Etsy and you take a cut. And when you do stuff like that, you start to develop a side stream of income. Now, usually when you start anything, there's not much coming in, but over time it can build up if you are persistent and consistent at it. You can take side jobs, like in the US we have like grocery delivery services and like food delivery services like DoorDash and Shipped for groceries, things like that. Just do some of those things, bank some extra cash, keep some cash out of the banking system, keep some cash at home. I would, if it were me, I would put it into, some into metals, some into crypto, some into a bunch of different things. But yeah, you have to make your own decisions on that stuff as to what you want to do. But it's going to become more of a threat for everybody, because the job is the big thing. They're going to go after this. They're going to go after companies. They're going to have to, they're going after federal employees. They're going after the public sector. They will go after private companies, just like they are, in two ways. One, they're saying you gotta make sure your employees are jabbed or they have to be fired. So that's a choice. But then they're also going after companies in another way by saying you can't serve people who don't get the jab. That's going to hurt business for a lot of people, because a lot of people are going to say, fuck no, we're not going to go to this restaurant. We're not going to go to this theater or this gym or this concert. We're not going to do this. And so, it's going to put the squeeze on businesses. And when you mess with somebody's income, you can control their life. This is like the whole game of the freaking cabal. Like, you control the money system. Doesn't matter who makes the rules, who makes the laws. You've got the money, and everybody needs money to survive. You can't put food on your plate. You can't put clothes on your back. You can't get, you can't put a roof over your head, much less care for a family. And so they attack you at the money. So this is where it's like you need to become, in my opinion, as self-sufficient as possible. Now, it's not easy doing stuff. You got to put in the extra time. Like, if you're working a full-time job right now, that means you have to do it on the side when you get home, at night or in the evening. But I got to tell you, folks, like, that's the way to get ahead. I mean, when I was first starting my business, I was bringing in just a little bit of money. Like, I was super happy when I started bringing in like $2,000 a month. That's like $24,000 a year. And I was like, oh my God, this is like so awesome. That was all the money I had. But I was single, just like in a studio apartment. And, after expenses and taxes, there wasn't a whole lot left, but I made it work. And then I was able to grow it to like $4,000 a month. And it's like, okay, well, after expenses and taxes, like I'm getting by, this is good. But I got to a point where I was going to lose one of my big clients and drop under $2,000 or under $2,000 a month in terms of what I had coming in gross. And I was like, oh shit, like I've got 3 months worth of savings basically that can get me by. And if I don't do something ASAP in a big way, I'm gonna have to go get a real job, which I didn't want. And so I had to bust my ass. Like I didn't have money to hire people to help, so I had to do most everything by myself. And I put in 100-hour weeks for probably like 4 months, and it was fucking exhausting. Like it was a ton of work that I had to do. But it was only because I did that I was able to launch when I did, take advantage of the opportunity, and get it to the point where not only did I save my ass and was able to pay the mortgage and put food on the table, but I was able to start hiring 1 employee and then 2 employees. And then we started to grow slowly like that. You have to put your time into things. And folks, like, I like things that you put in the work once and you get paid potentially an infinite amount because it separates time and money. And this is why I like doing things like writing books. My books that I have on Amazon, I don't sell many copies. I think I only make like 20 or 30 bucks a month in royalties, so it's not anything I'm going to retire off of at all. But it's something that I enjoy doing, and it shows the principle of I took a certain amount of hours and I put time into writing the books, and then I released them, and I didn't do anything else. I just released them. And now I never have to do anything with those, and if they continue to sell over the next, say, 5 years, it'll bring in a little bit of money every month. And it's easy for me to do like really quick ebooks, short ones. I can do that. And so that's one side stream of income that doesn't require me to go out every single day, go pick up groceries or pick up food orders and deliver them. I write it once and I keep getting paid. Everything else that you do, like Etsy stuff or eBay stuff, you're basically trading your time for money, which is, that's okay to start. You don't want to get caught in that though for the rest of your life, because then if you stop working, you stop getting paid. Anyway, that's a different, yeah. Deputy Van Halen says 30 bucks a month, you can pay for half a tank of gas. Right now in current non-hyperinflationary land. But I sort of look at it, I'm like 30 bucks a month. I'm like half of it goes in taxes. That's 15 bucks. That's like a pack and a half of smokes right there. That's what it does. That's what it does for me. They're really good examples of things where you can, no matter where you are located, with some exceptions, but no matter where you are located, you can sell things and ship them essentially worldwide. And it doesn't matter where you are. You don't need to live in a big city. You can be in a small rural town and ship things out from your local post office. And you'll make the same amount of money whether you live there where living expenses are less than if you're living in a big city. So things like that, start to think about this stuff. And again, you don't need to create your own earrings, your own wood art, your own whatever that is being sold on Etsy. Go on Etsy and look at the stuff they have. I actually bought a lot of Christmas gifts this year from Etsy because I'm like, I wanted something unique and I wanted something that individuals were making at home, in their garage, in their backyard, more than I wanted like corporate shit from Amazon. So, but go take a look at what the kind of stuff they have at Etsy. And if maybe it's stuff like that, that you see there, maybe that's stuff that you can make yourself, or maybe you know somebody else who does that. Maybe you know somebody who really loves making earrings and they love that, but they don't want to sell anything. Well, you could take their earrings and sell them through Etsy. So you're just like essentially a broker. So that's one way to do it. And Okay, sorry about that. So you can still hear my audio, Rebecca? Hopefully. All right, take care, S. Moore. We'll see you later. But yeah, you can also, okay, so Lori says you can also teach like community education classes. So this is good too. So what are some of the Ashley? Okay, I'm gonna link to my books here. Hold on a second. You're gonna love the books. This is hilarious. Amazon. The okay, let me just paste this. This is my Amazon page. So one of the I guess the book that I'm like that I put the most work into is called Perpetual Wealth. It's about investing, cash flow, and stuff like that. But then I wrote a bunch of short little ebooks on how to do stuff. But I've got a book called Profiting from Fear, and I have a book called Sell Them Sex, which is both those books are about emotions and instincts and about how we can profit from those things if we understand them in our personal lives and in business as well. And I just give some examples, like Sell Them Sex. I'm like, I just have to do that. I have to write that. Anyway, so that's some of the stuff I've done, and I've got some of the books. Like I'm gonna write a book on the history of my company and just kind of life lessons that I've learned that, for people who want to start companies, budding entrepreneurs. And I've got one or two others that I'll probably write kind of in that same line. I like the economic finance stuff. Just to put it out there, and the way I look at it, it's like I like creating that stuff. It's something I like to do. And it's also something that when I'm dead and gone, like my kids and grandkids can go, that's what Grandpa Ethan wrote. And I can't believe he wrote a book called Sell Them Sex with like a provocative cover on it. I also wrote an erotica ebook, and I probably will write more of those too, although those are not under my personal name. But that was kind of fun. Writing erotica is crazy. It's very difficult, but it's really interesting. Okay. Hey, Go West. Cool. So Go West is selling jewelry on eBay for $50. See, that's perfect. I mean, you sell that stuff, and you can sell it to people from all around the world. All right, see love. We'll see you later. Take care. But yeah, do things that just make yourself more resilient to unexpected things, which basically you should just start to expect those things. Start to expect the fact that you might get a notice from your job that you've got 2 weeks to get the jab or you're out. You're going to be fired. What would that do to you? How much financial reserve do you have? How long can you pay your rent, your mortgage, put food on the table? What kind of buffer do you have? And if you don't have a buffer, you need to start building one. And the way you start building one is you reduce your expenses and you bump up your income. And that's where the side streams of revenue certainly help. So please do that. But just skipping around to this stuff, I mean, there were some good things that I saw happening, like the premiere of one of the Australian regions, provinces, just the other day, yesterday or the day before, resigned because of corruption investigation of some kind. And then I just saw or heard that somebody from another province is resigning, has either resigned today or is going to soon, for similar things. And these people have been the people who have just been promoting all these lockdowns, these quarantines, the mask bullshit. And if you guys don't follow Rebel News, Australia and Avi Yemeni, you have to. Avi is so funny in his videos. He's like, oh, this is all in the, they're protecting our health, as the cops are in the background, like beating someone. It's just hilarious the way he says it. It's not funny, the situation at all, but in times when you look at things and they're pretty dark and they're messed up and they're twisted, you have to be able to find humor in those things every once in a while. You know what I mean? Yeah, Go West says, looks like Canada's going the way of Australia. It's going to happen. And guess what, folks? You know, for those of us in the U.S., you know, we're going to have the same thing. You know, we're gonna have the same thing potentially come here because we have socialists in charge. Yeah, Deputy, I'm still heading to Florida in a bit. We're still getting some things done with the house, but we'll be heading there for the most time. For the most part, it'll be a much nicer place. We'll actually be going back and forth between here and there, but I'm like sick of the cold winters, so I want to spend the majority of the time at least in Florida. But I'll be going back and forth between places on a regular basis. But we're gonna see this creep, right? We're gonna see this stuff come to the U.S. and people never would have thought this would have come, or would be possible. It's gonna happen. We're gonna see this in the public schools. I think in the public schools they're gonna start mandating jabs, possibly for kids as young as 5, but you know, at least for kids 12 and older. It would not surprise me at all if we see that in the next couple of months. Likewise, you know, Canada announced that you're going to have to be vaccinated if you want to get on a train or a plane, right? Probably a bus or in a taxi too. And that kind of stuff, I mean, the Biden administration in the US, they've talked about it, so it's probably going to be coming here as well. And man, if I have to drive back between Florida, that's going to be a pain in the ass, but I'll do it. Yeah, but that kind of stuff is going to happen. And but basically, we just have to like give the government the big middle finger as often as possible and as long as we possibly can, because we're going to have, I think we're just going to have, I mean, like serious Gestapo type tyranny when it comes to a lot of things. I mean, like in Canada, they want to make it a crime to threaten or harass a doctor, a nurse, a healthcare provider. So think about this. What if I were to say, if the doctor said, you know, we're gonna, as of November 1st, we're gonna start requiring that the patients be jabbed. If I called them up and I said, if you do this, I'm gonna drop you. You know, I'm gonna go to a different doctor. Technically, that's a threat because I'm threatening to leave them. I'm just like opening the door to, like, I mean, they use the word threat. Like a lot of people, when you think, oh, you threaten someone by like screaming at them, yelling at them, and assaulting them, a threat is a lot of different things. And harassing, you know, somebody, that's a pretty broad thing to say. Like it's illegal to harass a medical worker or healthcare worker. It's like, fuck no, it shouldn't be. Like if you know, if you're going to be somebody who is doing things to people against their will, then you should get heckled, you should get harassed, you should get embarrassed. But they're going to make, this is all thought crime stuff. That's what it's going to get to. Right now it's just like, you know, it's just it. When we get to the point, if we get to the point of like the transhumanistic, you know, merging of the human brain and consciousness with technology, this is where thought crime comes in. Because even if you don't verbally threaten somebody or harass somebody according to the government's mandates or dictates or their definitions of things, if you even have thoughts of that, like if you fucking hate Biden, or if you hate mandates, or you hate the doctors that are forcing things upon you or your kids, or you hate the school board or the teachers for doing what they're doing, then even if you don't say it out loud, it's absolutely, Brian, it's Minority Report style stuff. But Minority Report even went further. Like their whole, so that's thought crime, right? Like if you're thinking it in your head, that's a thought crime. Minority Report had pre-crime. And that's where the government, and they would do this, they would say, well, we basically know that the characteristics or the patterns that we see out there in the world with people who commit crimes, they basically fall into these categories. And this is where if they had access to like thoughts and stuff, they would just analyze that and they would say, well, you know, you are going to commit a crime tomorrow, so we're going to arrest you today, based on all the indicators, the patterns, the telltale signs, etc. I don't want to be around in that kind of world at all. I will take the, you know, the Kool-Aid before I participate in that kind of world. And I didn't come here for that kind of bullshit, and I don't think any of us did. All right. Let me check the live chat here, see what you guys been up to. How many people have seen Orange Van Rad? I like that. There's a great documentary on the Rumble channel, Unmasked 2030, entitled "For Those Preparing for What's Coming After COVID's." If you have not seen it, check it out. Unmasked 2030. Let me just go and see if I can find that Rumble. Folks, if you're not like on Rumble and BitChute, you might want to check those things out. Let's see. Parents in the UK are serving schools with court papers. So Roz says parents in the UK are serving schools with court papers using the Nuremberg Code and human rights, basically as a means of holding them accountable. The thing is, like, I don't know that that's gonna matter. Like, we all know that it should matter. Like, the Nuremberg Code was signed on to by most all countries because of the atrocities that the Nazi Germans were performing at people with like medical experiments and vaccinations and shit. But again, it's not. It doesn't seem to care. It doesn't seem to care if laws, mandates, edicts are unconstitutional. It doesn't seem to matter if they are in violation of our civil liberties and just basic human rights. So I really don't think it's going to matter if things are in violation of the Nuremberg Code. Honestly, they should be, but I don't think that's the way things are going to go down, unfortunately. Taff says, I came into this world covered in someone else's blood. I will be leaving the same way. Some days it feels like that, right? Yeah. Okay. So what are you guys doing to, like, do you guys have ideas on like other forms of revenue, like income streams? What are you guys doing for that kind of stuff? American Loki says we need to separate from the woke forever. Yeah, I agree. We need to. There's a lot of bullshit stuff out there. I can't stand it all. I can't stand it from the people who want to put fucking pronouns in front of their names or after their names. It's like, I don't give a shit. And I'm tired of seeing 180 genders and orientations promoted on social media. It makes me want to throw up. And this whole, like, I saw this article, like, I can't, like, I swear to God, I am in a coma and I am hallucinating all of you. I am hallucinating the phone that's sitting in front of my face, this house that I'm sitting in, and this entire fucking world around me. I swear to God, I am in a coma. And I would like to wake up, or I would like somebody to pull the plug. Honestly, maybe have you ever thought, like, this is the Matrix and you are actually manifesting, creating this entire world? Like, you're hearing, if that's true, I am just like a little AI bot in your ear telling you to wake the fuck up and end this fucking movie and fix the thing. Snap your fingers and get it out of here. If I created the simulation, I am fucking sorry. Like, maybe I was tripping. I have no idea. Like, something, I apologize. I don't usually do this kind of thing, but sorry about that, if that is the case. Deputy says, if going forward I decided to identify as a grasshopper, would I still have to pay taxes? Well, this is, Yeah, this is, why not? I mean, you can identify as whatever you want. You should be able to, right? I identify as already having been jabbed or having already paid taxes or being tax exempt or whatever. We should be able to do that. Rebecca said, I heard from New York Nadia on YouTube that she's wanting to create a job website for non-jabbed people. That's a great idea, but they will see that as discrimination. And it is, in a way. It's like this is only a job posting only for the unjabbed. Somebody tried to create a dating app for the iPhone for unjabbed people because dating is such a pain in the ass. It has been. And now you add in all this jab bullshit. And I cannot even imagine how difficult it would be to be out there in the dating world today. So somebody created an app and Apple rejected it from the Apple Store, or they took it down after it was released because they thought that was discriminatory or maybe anti-health or whatever, which is just ridiculous. If you're going to, like Tinder or some of the other apps have this little option, like you could mark like, oh, I've been vaccinated or not. But why not? I mean, it's like we have different websites where you can go like find people if you're single. Like you can have Christian Mingle, which is a site that in a way discriminates based on religious beliefs and affiliations. It's supposed to be for Christians, which is fine because we allow for the equal opportunity to discriminate. So we allow things like, I think it's like J-Date or something like that for Jewish people, which is fine. Like we should be able to do that. We should be able to have a dating app and dating websites for unjabbed people and to be able to have job posting sites for unjabbed. But at some point, all we are going to do is farmers only. Yes, exactly. But at some point, we are going to just develop a parallel society, which is like, maybe that's what needs to happen, but it's also very sad. Yeah, Mountain Kayaker, yeah, FBI's calling parents domestic terrorists who are speaking out against critical race theory and the mask and vax stuff. Yeah, I mentioned that before too. Absolutely, and that's when we absolutely, for sure, every day, like the clown world meter just keeps going up every single day. When the FBI worries about that, about moms and dads who are showing up to school board meetings, but they don't seem to give a shit about, like last summer, all the rioters and looters and the people that were burning shit down. They didn't care about that. That's not a problem. Yeah, House Divided. Yeah, House Divided cannot stand. Yeah, one of the, yeah, can't. I said this in the video I did earlier today. Like, there's a great line from the movie, like Avengers, the Civil War one, like the bad dude, he was singing something like, an empire that crumbles from within, that's forever. That, if you are defending yourself against an external threat, you can recover from that. Might not be easy, but when you destroy the fabric of a society, of a culture, of a country, it's from the inside, and you rot that away, and you vilify people who are still trying to stand up for good and righteousness and all that kind of good stuff, then you are left with just a cesspool. And we see that happening in a lot of different ways all over the world. Yeah, Go West says, have garage sales, sell at flea markets, get out of debt, buy a place that has low property taxes, sell fireworks. Yeah. Do that kind of stuff, and that, that's the kind of stuff where you have like maximum like resiliency. Like if you are able to, it doesn't matter how much money you have, like if your living expenses are pretty small relative to what you're bringing in, we have a lot of flexibility. It means you can bank a lot of extra money for savings and investments and that kind of stuff, but it gives you a lot of flexibility in that if you had to take a pay cut, you'll be okay. A lot of people in the US especially, and probably in Australia and Canada and Europe too, we have a tendency in the US at least to basically spend everything, live paycheck to paycheck. I mean, we got people making six figures, and even people making $1 million who will spend every last dime on fancy cars and big houses, and they will be just like, they'll just be in debt up to their eyeballs. And if their income ever stops, they're in trouble. Like they look really wealthy, but they're not. They have nice stuff, but they can't afford it, essentially. And if you can keep your expenses low and build up your savings, build that kind of stuff up, you give yourself a buffer. You are able to sleep better at night and just be a lot more mobile too. You know, it's a lot more mobile. Yeah, Ginger Snap says, yeah, stop the world. I want to get off. For all we know, Ginger, the world's already stopped and it could be flat. I have no idea. It's something I don't want to even look into. A lot of the stuff that I see coming out, I'm like, okay. There's like the flat earth stuff that I see coming out, I'm like, okay, there could be something to it, but I don't want to crush my childhood dreams. Like everything else in life has been crushed, and I don't want to do that. Yeah, Gypsy Daisy says we are in a parallel society right now. It's just, you know, it's the people who have their eyes open versus those who don't. Absolutely. How you doing, Crutchan? I probably murdered your name. I'm so sorry. Oh, Rosita, I'm so sorry to hear that. Rosita says, my own husband and I don't look eye to eye on the jab. He and my in-laws want me and my little kids to get jabbed. So, yeah, that's super tough. Man, I just don't, you know, it's one thing, like if your spouse wants it, it's tough enough. Like if you're aware of the dangers and the side effects and all that kind of stuff, you don't want anyone that you love to take it. But especially when you have kids that are in the mix, with parents that are on opposite sides of the fence, I've just seen some just stories that make me feel really bad for the parents out there as to what happens, you know, because inevitably in a lot of situations, the kids end up getting the jab because they have at least one parent that is pushing for it, and they want to be able to go do all the things with their friends, you know, stuff that you and I wanted to do when we were kids, when we lived in a world that was a heck of a lot more sane than what we have today. Yeah, Paladin 1, I think you're right. Paladin 1 says the U.S. isn't in full-blown riots right now because, you know, things happen slowly here versus quicker like they do in other countries. Like we see a lot of protests, for example, in Europe, which is good. A lot of people just saying, hell no, we're not going to do this. In the U.S., it's a lot slower. Or, you know, there's probably more fluoride in the water, more bullshit in the food. I mean, if you look at like ketchup, like Heinz ketchup. In the U.S., by default, if you get Heinz ketchup, there are like, I don't know, 20 ingredients. It's a bunch of like artificial crap and high fructose corn syrup. But if you go to Europe and you get Heinz ketchup, it's got just a few simple ingredients. And not all the bullshit that we have in the US. So we're probably dumbed down and obese because of all the shit that's in our food here. So we're just like slow movers here, it seems like. Orange Van Rad says there are people that think what's happening now is because the polls are going to flip. I say bring it on. Like I'm ready for like the asteroid. Like I said in the video today, like I am super disappointed to be doing YouTube videos in the apocalypse. I did not think this is what the apocalypse was going to look like. I was seriously hoping for like zombie type stuff going on so I could at least whip up my AR-15 and, you know, put it to good use before I became a zombie myself, good on fighting. And but this is sort of just like melodramatic. Like I'm watching a lot of this nightmare unfold on Twitter and YouTube. Like it doesn't, it's not quite is interesting is when it's happening right outside my window. Oh, Roz says there's a massive protest in London the 5th of November wearing V for Vendetta masks. Man, I got to tell you, that's the kind of thing we need. Like, I bought a couple of those masks years ago because I was like, someday something may happen where we need to basically go after the government, and we have to do it anonymously, like in the movie V for Vendetta. And there's one of the scenes in there, you know, they're trying to catch V, but he was really smart and he gave masks to basically everybody, so they couldn't find it. If you haven't seen that movie V for Vendetta, it's a really good one. I'd recommend that. It's very cool if they do that. I can't wait to see the videos and the photos that come out of that. Yeah, Lori says they want people to get jabbed, yet the illegal aliens coming across the border, no question. So it clearly shows, like, again and again, there's so many instances of this that is clearly not about your health. Just like it's not about your health when the Australian police are beating your ass and pulling them out of people out of cars, arresting them, detaining them, doing bad shit. It's not about health. It's about control. And with basically open borders at the southern edge of the United States, the people in power right now want that because they know that most of the people that cross the border will end up voting for their party in the future. Not that votes matter, but I think at the same time, we start to destroy society. Not because, I think mainly one of the main reasons that it's gonna cause a problem, there are lots of reasons, but when you allow people to come across the border and then you give them a bunch of free shit, it's going to start to erode the work ethic and just general morale in the United States. At least it should. Like, if someone is working their butt off, like at a minimum wage job in the US, and they're legit, like they, you know, that's what they're doing. And then they see that somebody who walks across the border gets a ton of free shit. Like, wouldn't you be pissed off? Wouldn't you say, why do this? Why do this anymore? You'd probably be better off like burning your passport and your driver's license in the US, sneaking across the Mexican border, and then sneaking back over with coyotes, right? And then you just say like you're a white, like Caucasian looking Honduran, or, you know, Guatemalan, like you're just light skinned. And then you get a bunch of free shit. You probably would have more rights, more protections, more benefits, and more money than you would if your white ass like self just had a minimum wage job working in a small town in rural, you know, US. That's just it. That's how I look at things. But okay. All right, I think I am going to wrap it up for now. But really interesting stuff. I mean, I was just kind of alarmed when I saw that video for Canadian PM. And I think what I'll do is, we have a lot more people on right now. Rebecca says it'll probably make my hubby get the jab as part of his citizenship. He's been waiting for several months to take his test. I hope not. Honestly, Rebecca, if you're a citizen, or if you're a citizen already, I don't know. I still say like fastest, best method is to just sneak across the border. Like that's like instant citizenship. It doesn't matter anymore. And you get more benefits, I think. All right, I'm gonna play before, I don't know if I should play that again. I'm just gonna link it. You guys should go check out Twitter. I know a lot of people aren't on Twitter, but it is it is a really good place to find things. So I'm going to link to two things. Well, you can go find the Project Veritas video, but I'm going to link to this tweet where it has the Canadian Prime Minister telling everybody that 12 people, kids and adults 12 years and older are going to have to get the jab to get, I can't talk and like copy links and shit at the same time. I'm getting, I need Prevagen or something to help my brain. I actually started taking like a mushroom complex called like Genius Shrooms or something like that. They're not magic mushrooms. They're just, it's supposed to help because I'm getting old. All right, so I'm gonna play before we go. I just linked in the live chat. I linked to this tweet, but I'm just gonna play this because this is where we're at. This is Canada, land of the free. We already know that Australia is just the beacon of freedom for the whole world. Canada is now standing up and saying that they want to at least be number 2 with this, and it's all in the name of health. And we'll probably see this come for the US. I would have no doubt that we will see mandatory jabs for train and airplane travel before we come to the end of the winter. But I'm just gonna play one more time Canadian PM's video. It's 2 minutes here, so let's listen to that one more time.
Chrystia has outlined what the mandatory vaccination that's in place immediately for federal employees will look like. The bottom line, proof of vaccination will be required by no later than the end of this month for all federal employees. And by mid-November, enforcement measures in place will make sure that everyone is vaccinated. This is about keeping people safe on the job and in their communities. The same goes for the second commitment we made, mandatory vaccination on travel. By the end of October, everyone 12 or older on a plane or train within Canada should be fully vaccinated. But by the end of November, if you're 12 or older and want to fly or take the train, you'll have to be fully vaccinated, as will staff. Testing will no longer be an option before boarding. Done the right thing and gotten vaccinated, you deserve the freedom to be safe from COVID-19, to have your kids safe from COVID, to get back to the things you love. And if you haven't gotten your shots yet but want to travel this winter, let's be clear. There will only be a few extremely narrow exceptions, like a valid medical condition. For the vast majority of people, the rules are very simple. To travel, you've got to be vaccinated. These travel measures, along with mandatory vaccination for federal employees, are some of the strongest in the world. Because when it comes to keeping you and your family safe, when it comes to avoiding lockdowns for everyone, this is no time for half measures. Already, we're delivering on the first of our vaccine commitments, and in the weeks to come, we'll get the job done on a vaccine passport for international travel. We'll be there to foot the bill for provinces and territories that roll out proof of vaccination programs, and we'll introduce legislation to make it a criminal offense to threaten or harass healthcare workers. Chrystia has outlined...
Oh, Canada, home of the free. Just like the US, just like Australia. There are other countries too that have it pretty bad, but anyway. Keep everyone in your thoughts that are just being immediately impacted by this, that have been, that will be. As I've said, I mean, there are a lot of people in this world. This world pisses me off because we have so many problems, aside from all the Cerveza bullshit and the Gestapo stuff and the World Economic Forum and Agenda 2030 and blah, 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 blah. We've had people that have needed help in a lot of different ways for a very long time. So it pisses me off when we just like double down on issues in the world. But so keep people in your thoughts and prayers, because we need some big moves here for the positive. I would like for nothing more than to see like everybody that is doing this to just have their asses like arrested and locked away for a very long time. But I don't know that we're gonna see that. Yeah, Ginger says, I thought we were gonna get a fake alien invasion. I know, it's like I'm pissed. It's like, why not? I mean, I think like if we're not gonna have zombies, like true like Walking Dead type zombies, you know, that they're hungry, they want to eat flesh, and we're not gonna have asteroids, then we should at least have aliens, because I don't know, like this is getting kind of boring. So anyway, Bird Box. I think that's the one of the videos I was gonna watch. Bird Box. Something about birds. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. You guys take care. The live chat probably will end soon, but what I'm gonna do in future videos, for most of the videos at least when I release them, if I don't do them live, I will set them to be premieres. What that does is that enables the live chat, and then anybody that's watching while it's premiering will be able to chat. Anyway, thank you everyone. Chief, take care, good night. Everyone, have a wonderful evening, and I will see you guys again soon.